Welcome to the Small Firms Association's podcast. For 20 years, the National Small Business Awards have celebrated the innovation, talent and success of Ireland's vibrant small business community. You can find out more at sfaawards.ie. I'm Rob O'Hanrahan, and today we're going to be discussing the topic of learning from our peers and celebrating Irish small businesses' excellence. And let me introduce the panel who were also here for episode 1. David Broderick, the Director of the Small Firms Association. Aine Kennedy, the founder, director and CEO of The Smooth Company, and Philip Delaney, the owner of Dairy Glen. David, I'm going to start with you first again. I'm sorry, it's just the way you're sitting there. Nothing personal. Broadly, what's the landscape like for Irish small businesses at the moment? It's been a difficult few years between COVID, spiralling energy costs, but at the moment, what's the kind of landscape out there?
Yeah, look, it's mixed. Okay, it'd be absolutely remiss of me not to say that some businesses are going through an incredibly difficult time. Some small firms at the moment, and the reason for that is a lot of government-imposed legislation has come at the one time. So you've got a raft of changes which takes up the time, and then the changes that take up the cash flow. So, you've the move from minimum wage to living wage. You've increase in sick days, and there's just a lot of things coming at the one time. You've then got some companies who availed of tax debt warehousing. So they're again, it's money to be paid, and it was good to see, and we looked for the government, to kind of make some changes in that. So it was good to get them recently. But that said, I just think they're a bit tired. I think they're just, as you said, you bounce from one thing to another. The definite feeling, and I've been quite vocal on this, is that the difficulties at the moment have been government imposed. And that's why there's a little bit more annoyance out there at the moment in terms of the stresses they're going through. I think it's going to be a difficult year. I would say that for some companies, the cash flow pressures, and again, I'm not saying that. First of all, we'd be supportive of a lot of the changes that came in. It's not that. It's the timing of all these things coming at the one time, and the cost pressures. And it's from a cost competitiveness point of view. I think we've put ourselves as a country in a very difficult space at the moment. It's just not sustainable over time. So that would be one element. I would say one element are going to have a very difficult year, but. The other side of it then is there's a lot of viable businesses but vulnerable, and they're the ones that we really need to look after, because I think some businesses aren't going to survive this year, but there is another cohort who are small businesses are naturally resilient by their very nature, and they're going to need all their resilience this year, and they're going to get hopefully more supports throughout this year, but they're still strong. There's still good energy. Like when we talk about the Small Business Awards, okay, I realise it's a positive thing, but when we had our masterclass, so this year's cohort masterclass weekend away was the first week of January, and even though there were struggles going on in the room, they were able to talk about it, and the buzz and the energy was there. So it's very hard to dampen that spirit. So I do think we have two tracks of people, of people who I feel are probably getting a bit tired at this stage and asking, why will I bother, continuing on the business? We had one member of ours, and I spoke to them before we spoke with Minister Coveney, and they just said, we've come from a good space, we've had a good year, our baseline is good, but when I forecast the next 12 months, I have quite a simple decision to make. There's significant job losses, which significant in small businesses is one, but this particular person is talking about between 5 and 20. Or she just said to me, she's in business a long time, she just said, I'm just starting to question, why am I bothering anymore? So that's the kind of difficult decisions that some are having to make. But then again, there's other businesses who, through changing the way they've operated or changing the way they went online through COVID and kind of fallen into a different area of working, and that's working really well. And they've stripped out a lot of costs of their business. So I feel there's kind of a dual track, I suppose, for some businesses at the moment.
I'm reminded of something you said in episode 1, in that for small businesses, the two things they're always short of is cash flow and time. And it sounds like that's kind of the pressures that are really ramping up on businesses this year. But Philip, I'm also reminded of something you said in episode 1 when you talked about Dairy Glen being born in a very, very challenging time. And I suppose you guys have seen quite a lot of challenging times in the last 33 years.
Yeah, and I think change, growth brings challenges. and looking at opportunities, sometimes you go for it. I think nowadays the biggest challenge is just access to growth capital. I think I said it earlier as well, we still feel like a startup even though we're 33 years old. We've a vision of where we want to go. But the big challenge is access to cash, and mainstream banks are just finding it harder to make that happen. Other than that, the challenge is the normal challenge of business life, which is day to day, keeping everybody involved, keeping everybody motivated, keeping on top of the opportunity, what is next. The ice cream industry is an industry that's been around for a long time. It resonates with a lot of people. So when you're a little kid, you eat your dinner, you get an ice cream. So you're introduced to our business from the time you're a kid, and you seem to bring it right through to the time you're a granddad. And when you're a granddad, you bring your kids back to have ice cream if you're being really, really good. So we have a great product, a great area of industry to work on. And then with Smooch, it brings us to so many places right across the country. We're in all the different retailers. That challenge is making sure that the margins are still kept for our customers, so that whenever we go to the consumer who eats our product, that it's also an affordable treat, because ice cream is an affordable treat.
And can I ask Aine then, I suppose, we're talking about a lot of challenges here, but I suppose there has to be a part of an entrepreneur that wants a challenge, right? Because otherwise you don't start your business.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the fun of it sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes it's extremely stressful. Depends what day you catch me on. Sometimes there's tears. Other times, yeah, the challenge is kind of part of the fun of it. And you're like, how do I overcome that? And I suppose the feeling of satisfaction when you overcome something really difficult is amazing. I think, yeah, there is a lot of challenges up against small businesses. But on the flip side of that, I think there's a lot of opportunity for small businesses. You know, we can adapt to stuff really quick. We can be really agile. You know, you mentioned in the first podcast that we do a lot on social media. I think we can hop on trends and stuff much faster than some of the bigger retailers and manufacturers and brands can. So I think that works in our favour. So I think there's pros and cons, but I suppose with the help of the SFA and the networking and the network that we've built because of the SFA, I think it helps, and having that support network there is really key to getting over the challenges.
Sorry, David, I will say I'm delighted to hear that word networking, because the more I talk to the three of you, the more I realise just how big a part that is of small businesses.
Yeah, all business is problem solving. And then you talk about the energy. Another way to look at that, and it's a challenge. But, you know, there's problems facing you every single day. How do you get over it, and how do you get by it? So I think the networking one is something I'm very, very strong on. Because
I think networking is I don't know whether it's more a challenge for males, but maybe it's just me, I've never really kind of gone into that. I'll do it myself. It's a bit like you hear the story of the guy driving the car down to where he's going on his holidays, and he'll never stop and ask somebody inside the room, where am I going? No, I know where I'm going. And I've learned that over the last year, because really while we're 33 years old, we're quite new at SFA, and I've learned a lot. And it was Geraldine Magnier, the chair, who kind of said, Philip, you need to get more into networking. No, it'll be okay. But there's such a benefit in it, and SFA feels like it's your parents. They're there looking after us. They're going to the government to say, you need to help these guys out.
Yeah, that's so true. They say a problem shared is a problem halved. For us, can I give you an example of something that happened to us last year? Our whole website got pirated. So someone built a whole fake website, took our product, photoshopped it, took my videos on TikTok, and were using them as an Instagram ad to bring people to this fake website. They built an incredible website. Honestly, whoever built that website, I would have got them to build their own. They did that good of a job. Now, they made some mistakes, because our product imagery has a reflection, so you could see smooth stick in the reflection of it. But obviously I was so stressed over this. People kept sending it to me because it's my face on the packaging, and it was myself doing a demo video that was bringing people to this fake website. It was just to scam people to get their card details. So I was so stressed over this. I was in a complete panic, and in my moment of panic I put up a TikTok, and I didn't overthink it. If I had overthought it, I probably wouldn't have posted it, but just in the moment I posted it. And about 20 minutes later, I got a phone call from the CEO of Cloud 10, and I was like, oh my God, why is Bronagh Johnson ringing me? Like, she'd never ring me. And I was crying, and I was all distressed, and I answered, and I was like, hello? She was like, hi, Anya, I saw your TikTok, and I just wanted to ring to let you know this happened just before, and this is what you do, and X, Y, Z. And then within 3 days, the whole thing was sorted. We got it done, website taken down. And it was only for that I'd posted that, and she reached out and helped me. And like, had I not posted that and I'd kept that to myself, trying to figure out how to do it myself, like, I could have been a week, month, few months trying to figure it out. So I think, not being afraid to share your problems with others and reaching out and asking for that helping hand is so key to overcoming challenges.
It's just that ability to pick up the phone and go back to your point on the time, Rob. One of my first days on the job was the Business Connect. Actually, it was I'm only a year in the role, although it feels a lot longer. But one of my first days on the job, I was talking to one of the finalists, and she said, I'm looking at such and such a grant, and even at that stage I said, actually, that grant's for manufacturing, I'm not sure if it's for you, and what about, I think you should probably look at this one. And she said, do you know what, Dave, you have to save me about a day and a half there of like Googling and looking up stuff and doing things.
It's the equivalent of handing a small business a bag of cash.
Exactly, a day and a half of her time spent doing whatever it was. So it's that bit, even if like the answer is always in the room, in terms of when you're having it, or just being able to say, look, what's the crack with that? What's, how did you go about that? Just to bounce something off it. So we're doing a big push in the small firms and networking again this year.
Interesting. Philip, can I ask then, as someone who maybe came to it a little bit later in the career, have you found the benefits in the last year? Has it been something that's kind of, in what way?
So I got exposed through SFA to Enterprise Ireland, and for a while we kind of fell into the slot between no man's land, I'd call it. So we weren't relevant to Board BA, we weren't relevant to other supports, we weren't relevant to Enterprise Ireland. But lately we've become a tech-enabled QA company where we look after all the equipment that goes into people's shops. So if you want an ice cream solution, we do everything: the equipment, the fitting, the servicing, the maintenance of it, and the cleaning of it. So we recognised by Enterprise Ireland, and that for us has exposed us to grant aid to build a platform and a dashboard to manage all our equipment that's out right across Ireland. It also allows, so we can remotely log into any piece of kit. We can know what's going on, the alerts, what's happening with the kit. That now allows us to springboard into the UK. We're in the UK as it stands. We're in 10 different sites. Am I allowed to mention the group we're with? So we're with the Insomnia company. So we do all their ice cream solutions for them, and that works for them because we take their pain away. We manage the whole thing, and they just put the product in. That allows us to springboard into the UK, further from the UK, because we can remotely log in. That was done through Enterprise Ireland. We're probably gone a little bit too big for the Leos, but if I'd have maybe thought about it earlier, we'd approach some of those people. And then
between the Leos, your local enterprise office, and if you're in business and you haven't talked to your local enterprise office, who will guide you to Enterprise Ireland if you're not within that. And then from ourselves, we have the Mentors Work Programme, which is a 12-week free mentoring programme we run in partnership with SkillNet Ireland. And it's just signposting and free resources within, do you know what I mean? But like, there is lots of money for companies out there. I kind of feel a bit negative at the start of my conversations. There is a lot of money for companies out there. It's just a bit of where you have to look.
It's important to address the concerns though facing a bit. We have to, I suppose, be honest with ourselves and everyone. Philip, sorry.
David mentioned SkillNet, and that's how I ended up in SFA, because there's no such thing as an ice cream machine technician or engineer. It's a combination of a lot of skill sets that come together to ultimately and make the best ice cream. It's a bit like the Guinness effect. In order to get a good ice cream, you need to be on your case. So we went to SkillNet to try and find that out, and ultimately we then got led through the Mentors group and then into membership of the SFA through the whole policy of then ending up getting one of the awards. So in a really good journey for us.
Yeah. Aine, can I ask then, I suppose sticking in that same vein, has there been an Irish business or entrepreneur who stood out to you over the years, someone maybe you kind of looked up to, not only saying that they were on the phone to you, but like someone who maybe you looked at and said, like, that's where I want to be, that's who I want to be aiming for?
Yeah, there's probably a few, especially in the beauty space. I think there's a lot of amazing entrepreneurs. I think the female business entrepreneurs in the beauty category are just incredible. Everyone from Suzanne Jackson, Amy Connolly, Marissa Carter, Linda Stens. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. There's so many. I suppose Pamela Laird was a really brilliant help to me when I first launched. She was on Dragon's Den. She was on The Apprentice. I'd love to go on The Apprentice. I never will. We were actually asked on Dragon's Den, the UK one this year, but we didn't do it. But yeah, Pamela did. And when I launched, before I launched, I kind of knew her through the industry. She actually did a Zoom call with me for an hour, gave up an hour of her time to help me. And kind of similar to David's story, I was actually in the process of getting my trademark, and I paid a company €1,100 to help me get set up with it. And she was like, no, she was like, it costs €140. You can do it yourself straight on the IPO website. So she literally did it step by step with me, and I got my refund then of my €1,100, and I paid €140. I mean, and at the time, like, I didn't have a lot of money. Like, as I said, did everything. I built the website myself, designed the product myself to try to save costs. So to get that money back was like invaluable, and that was all because she gave me an hour of her time. And she's an incredible businesswoman. So there's so many. It's hard to just say one. And then Suzanne Jackson, who is obviously like the original beauty blogger here in Ireland. She has an amazing brand with SoSu and Drip and Gold. She actually put us in her SoSu store in Dundrum. So she gave us a section of the store for a few weeks there last year, which was incredible, like incredible opportunity for us. So I have to say, I find the Irish beauty space really supportive of one another. I think the helping hand everyone gives each other and sharing each other's products is just been amazing.
So it kind of sounds like, for a lot of small firms, it's less of a race and more of a kind of, like a leg up to each other.
100%. I don't think you're ever going to get to the top by pushing other people down. I think you have to help each other up, and you will all get there together. I think there's enough room for everyone. And also just to mention the Leos, because I do a lot of work with them, and they've been a phenomenal help to me. So I've done some of their courses. I did their accounting course at the very start before I launched the brand. I've had amazing mentors with Leo, and at the moment I'm doing I got accepted onto the Benelux program. So it's the export development program for hopefully getting stocked in the Benelux region, which is exciting. So
very exciting.
Yeah, lots of opportunities with the Leo. So they've been brilliant.
So there are. I know, as you were saying, we were talking about the challenges facing small businesses, but there are huge opportunities and, I suppose, help and support out there for companies as well.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that in terms of the shift in culture and the support of nature. I can remember when my mother started her business being in, and it was, God, the last thing you would have done. There was this mentality, and certainly when she was an up-and-coming business, there wasn't too many people out to help her, I can tell you. But it's great to see that culture has changed. We do have a supportive nature. Like, there's specific groups, like there's a female entrepreneurs group, there's different areas. So there is a lot of supports if you know where to look for them. I would certainly, that local enterprise office network, I mean, we would, as I said, our event was in Kildare last week with Jackie McNabb and her team down there, with the person experience working with, absolutely phenomenal. But it's across the board, and yeah, there's always places to kind of go and get, to make sure and go and get tips. And I know you were on their Mentors Work program as well. It doesn't matter what the topic is, it's kind of that general. It's broad enough, because I think a lot of the aids that were out for companies years ago were kind of given like this, and if you weren't in this particular area under this microscope, I think we have seen a bit of a change, and certainly from the agencies involved in a loosening of that, because there's no one size fits all policy. There's no one size fits all for a small business. There's not one thing that you can hand and go, look, that's going to suit you, because everybody needs a bit of a tweak, and that goes back to that mentoring piece as well, is to identify what that piece is.
It's a very reputable group, is the way I would describe SFA, because you've a couple of full-time people, and then you've a whole pile of people who just give their time to support. It blows my mind an awful lot how people give their free time to support small business while they're still running their own businesses, because they're impassionate about the where we are and the challenges, the support, and businesses failing just either from not being recognised, able to get the help. Excuse me.
It's that time. I don't know where they get the time. Like I'm in a position where
when Aine was telling us, you kind of going, where's that hour in the day?
Like this is where I don't know how. Like a lot of we'd see with our council and our members. I just to be fair, how they have so much time in the day. We joked this morning as we were walking in here. I mean, I get up early with my kids and I still end up going, God, I'm late, and how did that happen? Like, how do these people who run successful businesses, I'm in awe of them, to be able to turn around and kind of give Anya a call or give Philip, put that time in. And they do. Like, I must say, in my ecosystem, it's rare that somebody says no, unless it's a genuine reason. The only reason I've had recently people say no is, look, I don't want to do that because my company's going through a difficult time and I don't want to be seen to be not focusing on my business and my company, which is absolutely fair enough.
I think they've had people who've given them time, so they try pass it back, and that's what I try to do as well. Like Pamela helped me when I started, so now I'm helping a few business owners, and I'm meeting them for coffee during the week and next week because I think it's good to,
So real. That's the only reason I'm here, because I got such a buzz out of winning the food and drink section that I felt guilty not giving back my time. While it's not my natural habitat at all. I do like helping people, but like under the table, like not like away from the from the front.
And even these sort of things, I would have known that from yourself. It's not the comfortable ones, but they're willing to put themselves out there. In terms of
saying that we have in business, which is never wrong, to do the right thing, and I think we all. That's what. It's happened here today.
I'm still thinking of your face when you won that award. I have to say, it was forever. Talk about shock. It was a beautiful picture, I have to say.
Well, look, thank you all so much for being here, and I know it is a little bit outside of the comfort zone for everyone, so I really appreciate it. So Philip, to Anya and to David, thank you. And thank you very much for listening ahead of the National Small Business Awards 2024. Don't forget to check out sfaawards.ie for more information. Until episode 2, bye-bye.